Today is Saturday, March 10th, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor Ghost Island Week 2.
We do 2 shows a week. We hit the recap right after the episode airs here for us on the left coast, the west coast in Pacific time. You never heard that? Left coast, right coast?
You are really bizarre this afternoon.
What's bizarre about that?
I'm not even
It's a common term.
them. Yeah, okay, that's...
All right. So we do. Where were we? We do 2 shows. We do the recap right after the episode airs, and then we do listener feedback.
You said that already.
Yes, listener feedback. That's where we are right now. That's where we turn the reins over to you, get your thoughts, predictions, analysis, insights, glean some new views as to what went down in this latest episode and what we might can expect next. How many super fans do we have?
20.
20 checked in this week with what's going on in week 2 of Survivor Ghost Island. You know, I was feeling like the shuffle. Where are you giggling at now?
What you said just before we...
Oh, yeah. So, I was thinking about how we felt the shuffle had come too soon, but it was really in the 3rd episode, and that's happened before, right? I think we've had them in 3rd episodes before.
I don't know.
I mean, it felt like the 2nd because it was a 2nd week, but it's not, I don't think it's altogether unheard of.
Well, I don't think
Still too soon.
I'm not sure it has happened at the beginning of the 3rd episode. No, I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
You seem to be, but I'm not.
All right. Well, it certainly has caused some consternation in the superfan public, and we're going to hear about that.
Even though I couldn't remember Donathan.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't. I did not do that deliberately. Donathan at Tribal Council.
Yeah.
I really didn't have any problem with who was where other than that. But
In
him
terms
and
of
Jenna.
keeping track. Yeah.
Him and Jenna, because like I said, I had tried to figure out who was where, and I had put Jenna on the wrong ones.
Mm-hmm.
But
So I didn't have any trouble.
I
except
know
for
the
this
people.
And this and that.
You know, it's not like I don't
Yep.
know who he is and who went where, but you forget. You know, it's easy to forget when you're like, now, that's why the roster is so awesome.
Yes, that's where I was going to go to sum up what you were saying. Paul
I mean,
did
you can look at that and clearly tell.
you can see
who
their
was
history, right?
Absolutely.
Although there's that great feature that he's added to the rosters now. I don't know how many seasons it's been there, but there's a little drop down on the upper left side of the roster picture. And if you want to see what the tribes look like week 1, you can see that. Although he uses color, his color schemes will decode where they've been, right?
Yeah, you don't even have to do that.
Bottom left will tell you where they started, and the upper right color tells you where they are now in terms of the tribe colors before the merge.
One, it's just so easy and plain to see. I love it.
Yep, the only thing that's probably different here is that we don't see Jacob and Gonzalez represented, but it's hard
that's true.
to squeeze them in. But that's when you can just go back and see them in by choosing week 1. You can see
Yep.
the roster, how it evolves over time by using the little
we've
drop
moved
down.
on.
That's true. We're past them now.
Moving forward.
Yep. You ready to get started with the listener
I
feedback
am.
show?
Let's see what Pete has to say.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. So I'm going to let out a great big yeah, baby. That's what you call a doozy woozy of an episode. What a tribe swap. Man, I want to sing a song. Ching-a-ching-ching, ee-aw, ee-aw. It's Dominic getting cocky. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. He got beat by his own game. Wow. I did not see, though, Morgan getting blindsided like that. For a moment, Libby had me fooled, too. I really thought she was going to stay true with Morgan and try to work a secret alliance, you know. But, you know, I think Libby made the right choice because she knew her team was down in numbers and she had to stay with James and Donathan moving forward. So kudos to Libby there, who also is turning into to be quite a gamer now as well. Wow. But this episode was just fantastic. So many back and forths and this and that. I really wanted to see Chris and Dominic go head-to-head. It's too bad they ended up drawing rocks and he got the luck of the draw. It would have been like Boston Rob against Russell in Heroes and Villains. But oh well, we're going to see that, I think, soon enough. Chris against Dom. That's going to be great. But man, that purple team is so cocky. How about Bradley and Kellen? I was more shocked with Kellen getting overconfident about the beach sucks and this and that. Hello, it's Survivor. Wham! A bunch of babies. Wow. I mean, that really was crazy. But kudos to Michael and Brendan for finding the idol there. There's hope. And I really like Stephanie as well with Jenna. That could be a great Final Four, too. A lot of great players, guys. But the legacy advantage is cursed. I think they're better off never bringing it back. What do you guys think? And I'm curious to hear what everyone else has to say, guys. Take care. Woo.
Thanks, Pete. I'm not one for curses, so
Yeah.
The legacy advantage is interesting, I guess, for the 13-6, but other than that, no, I don't think so. I guess the flip side of that is if it takes Dominic out, then maybe I'll reconsider. That would be funny. I think Dominic's going to take Dominic out the way things are going.
Well, yeah, we already know he tells about his idol and that kind of thing. So, you know, he could tell about that too, I guess. And that would cause a curse maybe, but that would be on him.
After seeing how dysfunctional the original Naviti were, you know, as Libby observed them, look at what Libby's dealing with now that we're going to go ahead and say, hey, she's got game, because we got to see some game. Right? So in terms of being there with James and Laurel and Donathan, I think she's got it going on. So, right?
I'm not willing to give her as much credit as you are. She has a little game. I don't know how much yet. I'm not willing.
I think I think she's well ahead of James, Laurel, and Donathan.
Well,
right?
I don't know about Laurel, but
we can't,
you know,
see.
James and Donathan, I'm not.
Yeah, Angela is.
That's not impressive.
On her journey, whatever that is, it may not have anything to do with Survivor Ghost Island. Chris and Dominic are so busy going at each other that they're not a threat to you, and Wendell just seems lost at this point. So Libby's call to take out, or going along with James's call to take out Morgan, now it looks even smarter to me, now that I've had a little distance from Wednesday night. I was looking at that as Pete was talking. I was going, yeah, that was a really astute move, given where the threats are.
I would have to give James the credit for that.
For making the call, but Libby turning on Morgan, who could have been an ally to her. Yeah, I have to think Libby had the toughest choice there, because she's the one who had options. And she had options to potentially work with someone that was playing the game better than her alliance, for sure. And so she went ahead and eliminated her biggest threat in Morgan. The rest of them just seem dysfunctional at this point, given the limited view that we have. We'll see what happens with Chris back.
Well, Morgan seemed to be playing really hard. I mean, everybody points finger at Dominic for playing hard, but I think Morgan was playing just as hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see that, so.
Yeah, there was a forced or overtness in the discussion and exchanges with Libby, where she kept telling her, I don't think you guys have anything to worry about. You don't have anything. That seemed a little off as we've done some rewatches on the week 2 episode. But I definitely want to give Libby more credit now. I can't see him cheering for her in any way, but when I look at the field that she was working with, I think that looks like a pretty smart choice. Thanks, Pete. definitely a lot to consider there. And like I said, I don't think the thing's cursed. I don't believe in those. So moving right along, we got audio from Sophie.
Hi everyone, it's Sophie from Texas. Just trying my hardest to call in each week. I think Libby is the, most improved player. Didn't see that coming. She could be a force to reckon with. Her tenacity really was unexpected. Poor Morgan. I think Dominique sharing his information next week with Laurel will actually be a good thing. I think she'll keep it close to her chest. Otherwise, big players like Dominique, Chris, and Michael and Brandon may be targeted before the merge. Even though puzzle players are needed, I think that's what they're noticing they need right now, so they may get rid of the stronger players. Chris's tears did really melt my heart. I like that he could open up and feel vulnerable and actually see it as a way to move on and fight harder when he gets back to camp. I wonder if he'll start working closer with Angela. She really was blindsided, so that's why Wendell now feels very alone. But him feeling alone may make him go further because Dominic is the bigger, louder player right now, so maybe he'll be a target. I'm wondering if Michael will play his idol. Maybe I was expecting Bradley, the little moaning baby, to go home next. But maybe they'll see that he's somebody who will eventually get on everybody's nerves. They'll keep him around, and hopefully if Michael plays his idol, then they'll target Callan, because she is a fantastic player. So I'm really not too sure. I had Donovan going, but then I changed it last minute to Angela. So really, it really was a good episode. It was a blindside for everybody, and I enjoyed it a lot. Donovan was totally invisible. I had no idea he was even on that tribe. Have a great spring break. Take care, everybody, and looking forward to it. James also impressed me. Not good at challenges, but he's observant. So well done, James. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Sophie. There's another person along with you that forgot he was there.
Yep.
What's his name?
Don't give me that look. You know it's Jonathan.
She got it right. Next up, we got email from Mike in Omaha. Hello, my fellow Survivor enthusiasts. Naturally, Joanne and Stacy, that includes you too. I found this episode to be a touch lackluster, at least when compared to the first week. The episodes right after the beginning are often a bit dull to me, though occasionally something really interesting will happen. We had to wait until the very end for something curious. I didn't see Morgan leaving at all, and choosing Angela to go in JSFL added insult to injury. There was not much in the episode to point to Morgan going, but listening to her exit interviews, I found her a bit superior and dismissive of her fellow tribe members. It makes me think that she was more removed than her edit might have led us to believe. Morgan strikes me as a nice person, but someone who probably had no real business playing Survivor. I feel like in this cast of superfans, she was more in the contingent who just wanted to go out there and have an adventure. To clarify, I'm not looking down on these people. They're often very entertaining, but over the past 5 seasons or so of Survivor, you really need to have your head in the game if you want any hope of winning. I feel like Angela's still not long for this game, so I'm choosing her to go again in JSFL next week. With my luck, if she doesn't go, then I'll get testy, switch it to someone else, and then she'll go. Wendell isn't in the best position, but he seems smart enough to keep his head down and play the odds. James seems so thoroughly out of his element, I'd be shocked if he becomes a contender. James seems like a really nice guy, but nice guys usually finish last. I don't know what Libby was thinking being coy with Probst. Is she trying to draw attention to herself? Clearly she is. She might think that's cute, but I think she succeeded only in hammering home to every last tribe member that she is crafty and not to be trusted. I did like that Chris got sent to Ghost Island. He was someone who was at the center of the vote, and I think things would have broke a different way had he been on the VT beach. This makes Morgan and Gonzalez both victims of circumstance to me. If different people had been sent to Ghost Island on their boot episodes, I doubt either would have gone home then. If my USB Kellen wins, I think it will be because she'll play an old-fashioned game of getting people to like her. If that is so, I'll love it, because that's exactly the kind of winners I tend to cherish most. Be strategic, be smart, and win people over. Good luck to everyone playing JSFL. I'm finding this season infinitely harder to make selections for than last season. By episode 3 of last season, I already had some favorites. This time, not really. I wish they would switch up these challenges. I'm so desperately tired of the physical challenge ending in a puzzle. I doubt I'll get my wish, but I'm hoping for more varied challenges in the future. Thanks, Mike. You need to go back and check where she was talking with Stephanie and Jenna. Kellen was not humble in the least with regards to her position in that new Malolo tribe.
In your humble opinion.
I don't know about humble, but yeah. Next up, we got a call from Susan. Hadn't heard from Susan in a while.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. This is Susan from Hawaii. It's been since JT season, I think, or somewhere around there that I called in. And I'm calling in because, first and foremost, I think you guys have such a great show. I'm calling in because every little bit of insight, I think, helps with playing JSFL. So I'm going to throw out some insights and see if it adds to other people's thought processes with the game. I'm going to help you guys win. Let me talk about this Chris and Dominic situation dynamic. So Chris is all gunning for Dominic. He's alpha, aggro, super He-Man. And then he goes silent, he's crying, and he's like this little ball of mush. I kind of think he should bring that back with him to the game. And if he does, not the crying part, just the sensitive guy, like the real Chris, if he brings that back to the game and quits doing the other stuff that he's been doing, he could really go far. Dominic, on the other hand, is doing a CYA. He's like trying to invent a new storyline about the fake idol. I think he's kind of dug himself or painted himself into a corner, I should say. Dug a hole for himself and painted himself into a corner. Morgan, I voted her off, and I got the point because she had the curse of the advantage. I'm going to follow that theme. I think that the ghosts are here, and they are doing something, and people who get that next advantage is going to probably be the next person off. Donathan, I'm wondering about Donathan. He came off as like a little scared, wet kitten in episode 1, and then in episode 2, he comes across as just a guy that's in the team, and he's doing his part. I'm wondering if he's got some inner southern country good old boy in him after all, because he was raised in that environment. So he might be able to dig deep and just represent for his community and make them all proud of him. So waiting to see on that. I think the thing about Stephanie writing Hope in the Sand is a red herring. Ignore that. Angela's rigid. She's going to get voted out sometime soon. Oh, wait, Dominic's the one that has the curse of the advantage. Okay, yeah. Okay, but he does have a real idol. So, okay, but he's going to overthink it and not play it. That's what he's going to do. So he's going. So Dominic's going to be my vote off. Sebastian's my USB. I love him. I love his eyebrows. After episode 1, I also love his abs. I picked him because he watches Survivor every Wednesday with his grandmother, and I think they're Survivor junkies like all of us. And that's about it. Thank you for everything you do. I think the show is just as good without the interviews, and thank you for everything you do. You guys are awesome. You guys are actually the best part of the show. The best part of the show. The two of you together.
Oh,
thanks, Susan.
thank you, Susan. That was very sweet.
Great to have you back with all that awesome analysis, too.
Well, and Dominic can't use it. It's a good thing he can't use it. There's still 17 left in the game, and he can't use it to, 13 at the very soonest?
Yeah.
13 or 6, so he has to sit on it for a while. He'd be silly to say anything right now, I think. I can't imagine a scenario where it would work to his advantage, but he may come up with something. But I would think that would put just a massive target on him to have an idol and the legacy advantage.
He seems like someone who has a hard time not telling things.
Now, the legacy advantage can be used after the vote, right? Okay, so if he can hang in there till 13.
Right. It'll get him past that. Yep.
And if he leaves, well, someone else will get it.
Yeah. Thanks again, Susan. Next up, we've got a call from MikeK. He's got some analysis for us on that shuffle.
Hi, Joanne, Stacey, and Survivor fans. This is MikeK from SoCal. First, I've heard people saying that production must have fixed the tribe swap so that each tribe ended up with 5 original Navidi and 4 original Malolo on each tribe. I don't believe that's true. Looking at the press images, you can see that production fixed the gender split because Jeff handed the left basket to the women and the right basket to the men. The women's basket had 5 Malolo buffs and 4 Navidi buffs, whereas the men's basket had 5 Navidi and 4 Malolo buffs. So the new Navidi would end up with 5 men and 4 women, whereas new Malolo would end up with 5 women and 4 men. Original Malolo could have been the majority of one of the tribes, but the odds were kind of against that and in favor of a 5-4 split that we ended up with. I really enjoyed the Ninja Warrior / Spartan Race Immunity Challenge, and that clearly showed that the new Navidi is the stronger tribe, but Callan and Bradley on New Malolo, especially Callan, is an awesome puzzle solver. She did really well in both this 3D puzzle and the first Immunity Challenge, cube puzzle. And what production did fix, though, is they knew that tribes would not, or at least most likely would not be able to come to a unanimous decision on who to send to Ghost Island. And a rock draw favors someone picking the white rock from the majority tribe, which actually happened. Chris picked the white rock, and it made for a 4-4 tie going into tribal council, and I'm sure that's what production wanted. So that's a pretty clever way to make sure that there's more drama. I'm impressed with James reading Dominic overplaying his fake idol story and realizing that with all the Navidi tribe voting against Angela, they'd only have 3 votes, and Old Malolo's 4 votes could vote off anyone they wanted, and they made a good decision on picking Morgan. Morgan was going to be my USB 24, so I guess it doesn't matter that I didn't pick a USB this season. From next time on, there was a lot of, Stephanie was talking and the Malolo tribe was talking, so I kind of think they might be facing tribal council, that New Malolo might be going there, and that Michael, when he talked about let's do something with this idol, is going to actually reverse the curse of James' idol and give the idol to the correct person, canceling their votes. I'm thinking maybe Stephanie gets the most votes and he gives it to her, but who knows? That'll be exciting to see. Thanks for all you do. Really missing your exit interviews, and this is Mike K. from SoCal.
Thanks, Mike. I enjoyed that analysis. Next up, we got an email from Victoria in Maryland.
Hello, Survivor superfans. Wowzers. I just knew today was going to be crazy. In the last 2 weeks, Maryland has had beautiful sunny weather. Then terrible winds on Friday, and today we had inches of snow. Then tomorrow it's supposed to be beautiful and sunny again. I'm blaming all of it. It always creates havoc. Laugh out loud. I have to admit, I didn't like the tribe switching so early and felt that the drawing rocks was kind of lame. It did make me jump out of my seat when Chris was picked to go to Ghost Island because he's giving me a jerky jerk vibe. I know it's the 3rd episode, but there are some players that I totally forget are there. I had to remind myself who Laura was and why do they keep picking her for puzzles. I gave Wendell a pass during that challenge because he's my Hershey Kiss crush girl. I thought Libby played her hand too early in the game, and really missed out on a good alliance. I voted for Morgan to go last episode, so I'm guessing next week the person I picked this week will go. I need Dominic to stay though, because if he wasn't there, let's face it, this tribe would be boring. Talk to you guys later, and stay safe out there, super fans. All right, thanks, Victoria. Up next, we have a voice clip from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana. This episode was amazing. Also, lots of gameplay, and I love it. And Tribe Swap Day 7, it's just great. And so, my vote off this week was Angela, based on the preview I saw where she was crying about having to swap tribes, and I was like, well, if she's on a tribe with a lot of Malolo, then they're going to say, oh, Angela clearly doesn't want to work with us, she's Naviti strong, let's get her out. So when everybody gets back to camp, all the Naviti people on Malolo were complaining about how much Malolo sucks, especially Bradley, and you could tell that Brendan was just so done. And I love that group is on Malolo together, that group of original Malolo. Jenna, Steph, Brendan, and Michael, who were like the core alliance. Stephanie, a little too excited, a little too happy, but I'm starting to appreciate her more because she's a really good player. After seeing this episode with so much Morgan, Stephanie doesn't annoy me at all anymore. I never saw that coming. I was so blindsided, but when Chris was trying to sway everybody to get out Dominic, I was like, oh no. But then I was like, this is like the first 20 minutes of the episode. Dominic's not going anywhere. Later on, James was throwing Dominic under the bus, and I was like, no, why? Why do you decide to play now, James? Why now? Like, you didn't do anything last episode, and you decided to play now? But Michael finds an idol, and it's James's idol. I relate so much to Michael. I really hope he goes well. For a second, I was worried after last episode before he found the idol in this episode, I was worried he'd be kind of like a JP from last season and just not really do anything. Him and Brendan, they're tight too. It's so early to tell though, but that's just what I'm hoping for. Next time on Survivor, which I actually heard this time, looks like Dominic is trying to get himself back in the numbers, working Laurel, which is a good idea because she was even on the outs of Malolo. She wasn't like in the tight 4 or 5. That's smart on his part. On the Malolo tribe, you see Michael telling Stephanie and Jenna, he tells them that he is the idol. And so lots of idol telling. Chris, I still don't like him. He is not as dumb as I thought he'd be, but there's still just something about him. I saw more of a story in this episode. Yeah, I got a little that pulled my heartstrings a little bit seeing the story. He is like much above my expectations of him. I'm still really loving this season. Only 2 episodes, well, technically 3, but 2 episodes off to a great start, and I can't wait for next time and for next episode, and I will see you guys next time.
Excellent. Thanks, Parker. Next up, we got a call from the Peace Bear, BrandonA.
Survivor fans and Joanne and Stacy, what up, though? This is Brandon from Cleveland. Another great episode of Survivor. Sad to see Morgan go. I was definitely at least intrigued by her, especially since she got the legacy advantage, and she seemed like she could have been a good, sensible player. Plus, of course, me loving the ladies, it's always going to be sad to see, one of them go. I'm very interested to see what happens with that new Navidi or new Malolo, the tribe that just went to tribal council. I'm very anxious to see what's going to happen with them now because there's so much division. You got Dominic and Wendell and I don't know who else. Well, I guess Morgan was the person left. But you got Dominic and Wendell not trusting Angela now. Angela doesn't trust them. Chris already doesn't trust Dominic. Angela already is supposed to be Chris's right-hand person, but she was kind of going against his plan to try to keep the original Navidis together. So when he comes back from Ghost Island and he finds out what happened, he may not trust Angela. He already doesn't trust Dominic and Wendell, I'm guessing. So it's like it's so much division on that side of the tribe. James just pulled the okey doke on them. The old Malolo got them really good because I don't really see a way that they can get out of it unless Dominic is willing to burn an idol. We'll see what happens with his conversation with Lauren, but I don't really know what's going on with her because her and Chelsea are getting the invisible edit. We at least see Laurel on screen. Same thing with Desiree on the other tribe, but she's not really getting confessionals either. So I just really want to see what happens with the rest of these peripheral players. But it was a great episode. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what happens next week. I'm glad it was a split down in the two tribes instead of 3 just because sometimes I like bigger tribes. Smaller tribes can be fun too. But I think I'm good with having, bigger tribes. There's more room to maneuver and try to get some stuff done. So we'll see, and I'll talk to everybody else next week. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Peace.
Excellent. Good job, Brandon. Great to hear from you this week. Next up, we got an email from Michael in Utah. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor fans. Please send me to Ghost Island. There is shelter, firewood, and flint provided, lots of rice, and snorkeling equipment with a Hawaiian sling. Wow, they've got it good. If I were there, I would gently fondle every snuffer there. I wonder how much information is shared by returning castaways regarding the amenities at Ghost Island Camp. If I were there, I would like to keep that secret to myself. We saw in the preview that there would be an early tribe switch, and I thought that was a good way to mix up the routine. But then as the episode progressed, I was stumbling to keep up with who, what, and where. I'm still lost. I'll have to rewatch the episode to get a handle on this. I'm not a fan of Donathan, but once again, he outperformed James at that challenge.
True.
The parting message from Morgan as she wills the advantage over to Dominic is that Dom is such a great guy. Yet the initial editing of Dom makes him seem a bit abrasive or annoying. So evidently there's a part of his personality I'm not seeing yet. Finally, I'm hoping to see poor weather conditions there. I love how that hardship brings out true personalities. You all take care now. You're welcome at my fire anytime. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, that might be just what's needed to break Bradley, huh? if they had a storm roll in.
Could be.
He's so miserable at that Malolo, and talking about, who was it, Kellen was talking about how bad their shelter was, the ugly baby shelter.
Hey, at least it's a shelter. It's something. Better than nothing.
Thanks again, Michael. Next up, we got a call from Drew and his crew.
Hey everyone, this is Drew and
Kylie, Dinosaur Kitty,
Dinosaur Kitty and
Adelaide,
and Milo too. We're all here on a Saturday morning doing quick recording. Okay, first of all, I did enjoy this episode.
Moana.
There's Moana.
I'm gonna tell them something.
Okay, go ahead.
We watched Moana.
We watched Moana last night. That's right. And Adelaide's pick of Stephanie J, based on her likeness, is actually a pretty good one. Good job, babe. I will tell you, I really enjoyed this episode. You know, it felt like Survivor. It felt like things were back. I don't know what the difference is, but maybe I was just more prepared for it. I don't know, but I was glad that I enjoyed it. So, great recap. I don't have a ton to add, but I will say when Chris went to Ghost Island and he was having his little boohoo moment, you know, just getting himself together. At first I was like, oh, poor baby, blah, blah, blah. But then I thought, you know what? If I were out there and I ended up by myself for a little while, I'd probably do exactly the same thing. So I couldn't begrudge him that moment of personal reflection and homesickness and whatever. A lot of times on these shows, you find that when they highlight homesickness, it's a sign they're about to go home. But I don't think that was the case here. I think it's just a big part of Chris's overall story. Michael's impressing me a little bit. A lot of the other people, especially the women, are still blurring together, except of course Stephanie, Morgan, and Libby now. So someone on the Facebook group said this, and I was thinking the exact same thing during Tribal Council and listening to your recap. It's so early to do a swap that I'm just so confused about who's who and who's on whose side and who's on whose tribe. When Joanne said something about she didn't remember Donathan being at Tribal Council, I said, well, yeah, he was on the other tribe. He wasn't at Tribal Council until Stacy said he was. He just kind of was in the back, and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even know who is where right now. It was just crazy. So anyway, hopefully things will clarify a little bit as they go on, but at this point it's part of the game. Maybe they're just as confused. They can't figure out who's with who and who's doing what. But anyway, yeah, there's some whiners. There's some dynamics happening with the swap and stuff, but they're highlighting that so they want us to kind of think Bradley is lame. So still liking Dominic, guys. You know, it seems like everyone who has touched that Sierra legacy advantage has been immediately eliminated. Really hope that doesn't happen for him, but I think that's about it for me. Sorry about Morgan. I don't even know about Libby. I was like, was she even the one? Was she even the one to blame for that blindside? I don't know. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. It's hard to tell. Morgan is right there, sweetie. Well, Charlie has abandoned ship on this feedback, so we're just going to wrap it up. Hey, Adelaide, what day is today?
I don't know.
You don't know what today is?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
It's your birthday today. That's why we have some exciting things going on today, because Adelaide is turning... How old are you, babe? 3. That's right. Okay, so we're going to go have some fun. We're going to have some cake later and some presents, and it's going to be great. So.
And hot dogs.
And hot dogs. That's what she wanted for dinner. Hey, Charlie, can you say goodbye?
Goodbye.
You too, babe?
Goodbye.
How about you, Milo? That's Milo talking, Adelaide. Very nice. Oh, Waffles came to say goodbye too. Oh, we're a busy lap. Okay, talk to you later. Hopefully I can edit this so it's not a bunch of interruptions and ramblings and under-breath mutterings of kids 4 and under. Not to mention my own. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
All right, and happy birthday, Adelaide.
Yeah, happy birthday. I'm going to have to rename it from Drew's Crew to Drew's Zoo. Got Dinosaur Kitty there now.
I like Drew's Zoo.
Yeah, Drew's Zoo. There we go.
Did you notice that Paul starred the people that had idols?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had talked about that in the initial roster. Yeah, and you get to see 2 on Dominic, right?
We talked about it.
Yes.
I didn't talk about it.
You have no recollection?
No,
Okay.
I just noticed it.
Okay, there we have it.
So, you know, sometimes I'm a little slow.
No, you just don't remember talking about it before.
Yeah, no, it's not in my memory bank at all. Deleted.
Thanks again, Drew in the zoo. Next up, we got a call from Kenny.
Hey guys, it's Kenny from Dallas. I'm enjoying the season so far, 3 episodes in. I clearly do not have a winner pick right now. That was Stephanie after the first 2, but I think the game is up for anybody. It's really an exciting season. I guess if I was to learn any skill before I would head out for Survivor, I would learn how to build one of these big puzzles. That seems to be a recurring theme for at least half the episodes, I would say. It's a big skill to learn. Clearly, I was blindsided by the Morgan exit. I had no idea where that was coming from, and it really kept us in the dark. I wish when they went to Ghost Island, they would not have a situation where they would say, like, no soup for you, no games to play. If they're going to have the thing, they might as well have something for them every week. It's kind of a letdown to be told they have nothing to do. And I guess in a future season, it didn't sound so good to call us, I guess, Survivor GI as opposed to Triple H. But if they had the people who blew it those previous seasons, the Erics, the James, who screwed things up, it would be interesting to see if they could redeem themselves. I guess this is just redeeming the curse. As for Morgan, I was sorry to see her go. It looked like she had some game. I don't think I've ever seen a bond created by two people about a specific religion before. You know, they're both Catholics. I never saw someone saying they're both Protestants or they're both Jewish or Muslim. I've heard people say they, are religious, but never a specific religion. That was pretty interesting. And, enough of this Morgan stuff that she's an animal trainer. She works with dolphins, wherever she works with. I hate to be politically incorrect, but I remember when I was a kid, this way Survivor reminds me of my past. We went to the aquarium years ago, and Flipper was playing basketball, the porpoises were bowling. It was fun to see. I don't think the animals were treated cruelly. I don't think they should be caged up or put in a situation where they're mistreated, but I think the animals actually had fun playing these games. I mean, to take my kid now to SeaWorld, to see how they swim. It's frankly, for a kid, it's boring. And I wish things were in the past. I remember when I was studying for my national boards, I was in Miami at the Rosenstiel Oceanographic School, Miami's great marine school. The aquarium is right next door, and I would be able to hear the kids having fun. But enough of this Morgan being scared to say what she does. She should be proud of working with the animals and providing countless hours of enjoyment to youngsters. Excellent season. Hope it gets better. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Kenny. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
This season is just getting better. When watching this episode, I thought about a few things if I was competing in the show. The first thing is that making a shelter might be a bit harder than it looks. I made this observation when some of the castaways complained about the difference between camps. So why don't they fix it the way they want it? Speaking of complainers, that does not help your cause to be staying in the game. If I was sent to Ghost Island, I would practice my fire-making skills to make sure I know how to do it, just in case there was a need for making one like the Final Four last season.
And that will happen again.
I feel like they could easily make a few changes in the structure to make it more comfortable. I'm wondering how it's possible to hide the immunity idol from Survivor China because of how bulky it seems to be. The beginning of that immunity challenge kind of reminded me of American Ninja Warrior. I don't watch that show, but I see a few clips here and there, and it looks like the idea came from it. As for the most recent vote off, I did not see that coming at all. I didn't even hear her name come up in any conversation leading up to Tribal. I thought Morgan would have gone a lot further, but oh well. As for next time, I have no idea what to expect now. All right, thanks, Jack. Me neither.
Definitely feels like it's up in the air, huh? Next up, we got audio from Taz.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Taz in Louisiana. I am really enjoying this season so far, but I do have to say Ghost Island is really turning out to be a bust. I mean, we've seen more redemptions in just the hidden idols found at camp, whereas on Ghost Island, we get a legacy advantage that isn't for the person who went to the island, so it was no advantage to Jacob, and then we get to, sorry, no game for you today. Well, I just think it isn't living up to the hype, and it isn't much more than Exile Island, where you have a hammer and pottery to break for your entertainment while there. But hopefully they'll get something going there soon. Also, I really wasn't thrilled with the tribe swap coming so soon. I haven't quite put all the faces with the tribes they belong to yet, and now they're changing things up. I see the scenes, but I don't know which tribe the people are on. Hopefully they'll leave things where they are for a little while. We haven't had the opportunity to see much of Angela in the previous episodes, but we sure got to see a lot of her this episode, and I really wish they had left her in the shadows, because she's not coming off as someone I like. Also, I wasn't real thrilled to see that my USB Wendell was in the running for vote out this week. Come on, Wendell, get it together. The immunity challenge was pretty cool. I see that Donathan is still outperforming James. I don't know what's going on there. James, you really need to get it together. Also, Donathan really had the right idea at Tribal Council. You hide in the back, don't say a word, and everybody thinks you're at Ghost Island, so you don't get a vote. Well, that's all I have to say for this episode. Taz in Louisiana, over and out.
Oh, I wish I would have thought of that, Taz, when Joanne was talking about not seeing Donathan. Wondering where he was. Oh, he's on Ghost Island. Oh, good deal. Thanks, Taz. Good to hear from you again. Next up, got a call from Titus.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and all you Survivor fans out there. This is Titus calling from Boston. I haven't actually done the JSFL this time. Unfortunately, I had a lot on my plate. So this time I just wanted to chime in on a couple things I've seen and actually ask a couple of questions. So one thing I was actually wondering, on Ghost Island, did they have to break the urns in order? Because it seems like, of course we saw 2 in a row where that they didn't get to play. And then I was just thinking about what Jacob could have done. One thing he could have done is make a fake idol and plant it at Ghost Island instead of telling everyone what he did. That just wasn't the way to go, clearly. For James's 2 idols, the 2 ones from China, it would have been good if they actually had to use both, but they would have had to have combined them, so they would have had to have both to make it one real idol. This most recent episode I wasn't enthralled by. I definitely loved the premiere. That was wonderful, but this one could have been better. So I'm looking forward to the next one. Hopefully we see some crazy stuff. Looks like on the next time on Survivor it's gonna be ridiculous for Dominic, so we shall see. Hope you have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, Titus. Yes, you do indeed have to break them in order. So
it's true.
We saw that confirmed by Dalton Ross last week, I believe.
Yep, Probst confirmed it in the end.
And I like your idea about making one and leaving it there. If you could somehow come up with the way to leave some clues, too, so that it would be super convincing. And, this would have been the way to top it off completely. Once Jacob knew what the theme was, he could have used a stick. So he could have made a fake one that looked like the stick that got Jason.
Jason.
That would have been, no, it wasn't Jason. It was Jason.
It was Jason.
Jason was someone else. Yeah, that's Samoa. Oh, okay. Thanks, Titus. Next up, we got an email from Aaron in Mesa, Arizona now. Good afternoon, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. I'm still in disbelief at what just happened. My USB Morgan is already out of the game. I had some bad feelings this week, and at one point I had picked her to go on JSFL, which I never usually do with my USBs. I can't remember if I changed or not, but one thing I do know is that doing poorly at JSFL is a good sign for unpredictability and good TV. So I'm all for it. Yep, that usually is a direct correlation, isn't it?
I like it.
At first, I wasn't sure if switching the tribes only a week into the game would be good or not, but I would say things turned out well. I think Ghost Island serves as a nice balance to counteract the majority that Naviti holds over both tribes, since it's highly likely that due to the rock draw, no consensus rule, that the losing team will probably always be drawing rocks to see who goes. Having one person suddenly pulled out of the tribe dynamics really can change the whole game depending on the numbers of the alliances. Libby skyrocketed for me. I really like her a lot, but I'm afraid her ability and enjoyment of lying being brought to the forefront may make the other castaways aware of her. I wish we had been able to see how exactly the Malolos came to the decision. I suspect since James was pushing for them to vote someone else off, it might have been from him. Before I forget, Bradley is exactly as I thought he would be. I want to like him, but there's this acidic, smarmy edge to him that completely turns me off. I really don't understand openly complaining about the state of a camp. It's Survivor. Naviti's camp was one of the few exceptions. I'm surprised that on new Naviti, that the original Navitis didn't follow the Malolos around a bit when they were off searching for idols. Maybe that wasn't shown. But if they really did let them loose in the wild with little surveillance, that was not a good choice. As soon as I saw Michael find a square-shaped thing, I knew it was James's idols. Hopefully they're actually used. Seeing that again was so nostalgic, but I wonder how he'll try to hide and conceal it. I have no idea what's going to happen next week, but I'm excited to find out. Thanks for all you do, Joanne and Stacy. Until next time. Thanks, Aaron. Great to hear from you. Next up, we got a call from JayWaffles.
Hello, Joanne and Stacey and all the Survivor fans at home. This is JayWaffles from Canada with some thoughts on the Survivor Ghost Island Episode 2. First off, just some free advice for Chris. Chris, maybe don't tell Angela what to do. She is a mom of some grown-up children. She's been in the armed forces with a number of tours of duty, and you take pictures for money. Also, she's seen way more than you will ever have seen. I mean, let's be honest. You started crying 15 minutes into your time at Ghost Island, so let's just lay off the alpha male stuff and get that off the island. Secondly, about the tribe swap, I'm not sure why they chose to do it so early on in the game. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who these tribes are. It really confused me for the last third of the show. I don't know who these, what whose tribe is what, and, who is on orange and who is on purple, and who Jenna even is. Like, I don't know who these people are, and it was really, really confusing for that. I suppose they wanted to sort of even out the odds a little bit, but again, I don't know. It was sort of a weird time to do it. Also, the vote off of Morgan really, really sort of blindsided me a little bit, because I didn't understand why the old purple, I think she was on, I don't know what their end game was. I mean, they had the majority. They could have just, if they stuck to the plan, I mean, yeah, there was, I guess, 4 and 4 at that particular vote because Chris was off crying on Ghost Island, but I mean, at least try to stick together. I don't know. It seemed like a really odd choice at the time. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but it makes the game that much more interesting. I had to laugh at Stephanie J last week when she said, let's keep Donathan around because maybe we can take him and shove him to a small space or, something like that. And look what happened. They didn't shove him in a small space, but he scurried up that ladder, and he's quite an athletic fellow. So I guess maybe he is this sort of dark horse, and maybe his game is a lot better than we think it is. I also thought it was really strange how Donathan never got any airtime really at the tribal council, given the spotlight that he received in the first few episodes. I thought maybe that he would be more of a spectacle, but maybe that just sort of bodes that he's going to be around for a little bit and they can just sort of focus on other people. All right, well, that's it for me today. Thanks very much for all you do, and have a great week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, JayWaffles. Enjoyed that. Next up, got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, I was so disappointed to miss last week's feedback because although I'm not playing JSFL this year, the person I would have chosen as my USB went down in spectacular flames as the first eliminated. So that was no fun. And I didn't really understand why, except for the fact that she just wasn't in the right place at the right time, or she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was sorry to see her go. But anyway, on to episode 2. I don't know if it's the fact that we have so many new players 20 new players this season, or if it's some other factor, but I'm really having a difficult time putting names to faces. So when they had the tribal swap, as soon as they all landed on their new mats, I immediately forgot who was a part of which original tribe. I'm really having a difficult time remembering who's connected to who and who knows each other and for how long. It's funny because although this isn't a returning player season, I kind of feel like it's a returning player season because I am recognizing and remembering each of the cursed immunity idols better than I am remembering the players. These idols and advantages are like the returning players. So that's interesting. Maybe just to me and maybe not to anybody else, but anyway. Returning players are the idols. But back to names and faces. Like, I sat there watching the show saying to myself, there's a Brendan on this season? Who's Libby? There's a Morgan? I mean, I was watching it with my kids, and they get frustrated when I stop it and move it back and forth. So I couldn't stop and go back and say, who's this person they're talking about? I'm sure I'll catch up and hit my stride and have really thoughtful things to say as the season goes on, but I'm really confused at this point. It's like I'm meeting new people on the street for the first time in both of these episodes, or all 3 of these episodes since we've had 3 basic episodes. Well, the Curse of the Legacy advantage is intact. Anyone who touches that sucker gets voted right out. So Dominic now, although I didn't see Dominic as long for the game, I don't think that legacy advantage is going to help him in the least. And speaking of that, I know I missed last week, but I think Jacob should have been able to keep it initially. I mean, what kind of advantage was that? He was still in the game and he had to will it to somebody else. I didn't like how they put the little twist on the function of that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was James's immunity idol. Honestly, I'm disappointed that they didn't wrap the 2 of them up together. I mean, the curse of that is he got voted out with 2 immunity idols. So I think it would have been spectacular to have given somebody 2 immunity idols to have in the game. I mean, it's left up to chance who finds them, and then it's up to the person who finds them to figure out what to do with them, and to not get voted out with 2 immunity idols. For one, I'm disappointed that they split up both of those idols. If you're going to reverse the curse, reverse the true curse. Anyway, I feel like a negative Nelly, but I truly am enjoying the season. I love Survivor, any season of Survivor. Can't wait to hear what anyone else has to say. Till next week. Bye. Oh, and I was confusing there with Jacob. When I meant I wanted Jacob to be able to keep it, I meant that he should have been able to keep the legacy advantage and to truly play it in the game instead of giving it away, since he wasn't voted out at the time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Jen. That would have been interesting to have them both there, huh? Both of James's idols.
I thought so. That was my thought exactly.
Yep. Next up, we got an email from JoeyMama Eve from Australia.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. What a fantastic week for Ghost Island. My highlights were Michael's idol find along with the entire search segment, the beautiful puzzle and Kellen's performance in building it, and finally, Libby and Morgan's brief best friends forever pact and its subsequent demise at tribal council. Yeah. I think James made a potentially dangerous move and may have put Libby offside. He urged Libby to vote Morgan out by arguing that Dominic would play an idol which he did not play. I wonder if Libby will be bitter about losing a potential Final Four ally. I hope she doesn't turn on James, as I really want to see Chris voted out. I didn't personally appreciate Chris's domineering tone to Angela and hope that we don't have to witness similar behavior for the next few weeks. Perhaps those ghosts on Ghost Island taught him some lessons in manners, etiquette, and model behavior. Can't wait until next episode. Yours survivingly, JoeyMama Eve.
Thanks. Enjoyed that. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor fans. This is Jeremiah coming to you from Southern California. And it's been a few episodes now, 3 in, and I am really enjoying this season, I will admit. Now, one thing I am a little concerned about is this whole Ghost Island twist, because as I mentioned during my Jabik predictions, I was excited about Ghost Island. I like this twist. I like the idea where they're given a choice to take a risk and maybe get some kind of advantage. But so far, we've gotten the first advantage that someone got was the legacy advantage, which I think I've mentioned before in the past. I'm not a fan of the legacy advantage. I think it sucks. And then we've had 2 people now in a row that have had no opportunity to have a challenge to see if they can get an advantage. So I feel like right now it's kind of a dud. So I'm still waiting for Ghost Island to really pay off. So fingers crossed on that. Now, I definitely fall in the camp as everyone else that I really misread Stephanie J. She has definitely become one of my favorite players. Stacy, I'll admit when I was wrong and you were right. I've totally got the Stephanies mixed up. So we'll see what can come of Stephanie J, but I like what I've seen so far. Players I am liking other than Stephanie J is I like Kellen. I think Kellen looks great. I do feel like we got a little Sophie vibes from her. Dominic's been a lot of fun to watch, obviously. Very polarizing player. I'm enjoying him. Brendan seems pretty good. I still want to say I like my USB Wendell, but I'm very concerned. Is he out? He's not getting a lot of confessional time. I mean, we're still seeing him, though, so I guess he's not completely out. But what do you guys think? Are we high or low on Wendell? I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of low on him. I still like him. We'll see what happens with him. But there's other players I feel like I would really like to see more of, but we're not seeing them. So I'm assuming they don't have a big story to tell. So they must be out. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's still early in the game, right? Well, as far as next time on Survivor is concerned, I do wonder if we're going to see some idol play. Both sides have reasons to do that. Obviously, Dominic and Wendell and all them are on the outs, so he could possibly play an idol. That could be exciting. And then, of course, now that Michael's found one with Brendan, that could be an important side there too. So I'm thinking it's possibility from a big blindside next week. I'm not quite sure who it's going to be. I am actually a little worried about my USB Wendell, but again, we'll see what happens. But so far, it's been a really enjoyable season. Obviously, I am loving and enjoying your guys' coverage on Survivor Fans Podcast, so Can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say, and that's pretty much it for me. You guys take care, and until next time, this is Jeremiah.
Actually, thanks, Jeremiah. I do think Wendell could get caught in the crosshairs, kind of like Morgan did. When
Collateral
Chris
damage.
comes back and, he and Dominic, if they don't pull it together to try to save things, they could easily go, well, okay, we think Dominic has an idol, and Chris could have an idol. He went to Ghost Island. We don't know what he's got. So let's just vote off Wendell.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that happen.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think you have a reason to be concerned.
Definitely. Well, he seems to have just sort of, there was a little bit of game, and there was like a little spark with Wendell in, I want to say, the very first episode. And then he's just kind of been fizzling since then.
He's been a little invisible as well.
He was ineffective, and certainly not, there wasn't enough focus on him to make him a major player this past time.
But sometimes invisible can mean you're going deep in the game.
Absolutely. Yep. You never know. Not going to purple edit everyone.
No.
Thanks again, Jeremiah. Next up, got a clip from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and let's start by talking about Bradley. Is anyone else having trouble recognizing him? Because I don't think he looks anything like his picture. I now understand how Superman gets away disguising himself with only a pair of glasses. And that mouth of his is going to swallow him up and be the end of him. Complain, complain, complain. Easy, boy. Easy. And Angela gets an edit this week. She's, well, distant, and I'm having a hard time getting a read on her. I still can't tell if she's going to be there for the long haul or not, but I'm glad she held her own against Chris. I think that's a plus in her favor, because voting out your own is never a good idea, which is why I believe Chris will implode over Dominic. I mean, this guy is charging so fast and furious at Dom that he's going to miss and find himself smack dab in the middle of Ponderosa. And then there's Morgan. Well, she certainly got an edit this week, and in the beginning of the show, I was thinking that I really liked her bubbly and out-there nature. But by the time Tribal got here, I was over her, and I just wanted her to quiet down. Kudos to Libby, though, for successfully pulling the wool over Morgan's eyes, even if she didn't want to. I just wish she could have pulled the wool over Morgan's mouth as well. Okay. Like Festivus, this is the part of my feedback where I air my grievances. Ghost Island, the remote area itself, well, it isn't doing it for me. It's kind of lame, and having to break those urns in order, well, it totally destroys the illusion of chance. And can we really call those clay pill bottles urns? I'm pretty sure we'll get a hit this week because, well, 3 strikes and you're out, right? Then there's the whole Chris getting swept away by his emotions. Well, I guess I'm heartless because I feel he played right into production's hands out there. When Chris said it was spooky at Ghost Island, my eyes rolled back into my head. Call me heartless, but it was just so pulled out of him that I just couldn't buy into it. And then when someone, Michael, gets an idol, we have to get all of that backstory when I just want to move along and get to the meat of the episode. I just get the impression that CBS is trying to sell old seasons of Survivor from within the show. And then there's this tribe swap, which made me feel so old because I had to watch the episode a second time so I could figure out who was on whose side and who was previously together and isn't anymore. I mean, I was just getting to the point where I was comfortable getting the 2 tribes separated. And now, with everyone mixed up again, I am struggling with all these new and old connections. Watching a second time helped, though, so there's that. I just hope they don't mix things up again too soon. Okay, enough complaining. I think Malolo is going to lose the challenge next week, but I'm still not sure who might go. This is solely based on Stephanie's obvious despair in the previews, so I may very well be being misled. Donovan is outperforming James, so I'm thinking that he's going to outlast him. When your tribe tells you not to worry, you should worry. So enjoy the next episode. Catch you next week. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. I enjoyed the chickens in the background, that rooster crowing. Did you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, this is definitely confusing, the way things came together with this episode, but it was fun, and we enjoyed the blindside overall, right?
Well, and I really actually enjoyed them having to draw rocks because nobody has control.
Right.
It's like it's totally up for chance, and
Mhm.
you don't get to control that. So I kind of like that part of it. And then you don't, it's exciting not knowing who's going to get the white rock. You have
Mhm.
to go to Ghost Island. And that just like this week, it shakes things up. It can totally spin the game for that to happen.
sure.
So I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I would say it was rough keeping track of everything and everyone, for sure. There's a definite consensus with regards to that with shuffling at this point, and we were just basically starting to get our heads around who was who. But overall, with the surprise blindside to the audience of Morgan going, it ended up being a pretty good episode the way it was put together. And we've got some developments, although we've still got these people like Chelsea and Desiree that you don't really hear from. I think Chelsea being the most purple of anyone still in the game at this point.
Well, truthfully, you and I, usually by the time we're done with the Jabbok, we can recognize and call their names out by their pictures.
Yes.
But sometimes when you get into the episode, they look different than their picture.
Yeah, like Paul was talking about with Bradley, yeah.
It's like, who's that?
Yeah.
It's not that I don't know who Brad is, but sometimes you just kind of don't recognize them, or you.
Mm-hmm.
But that does help us. Otherwise, it would be like Amazing Race. I rarely know everybody's name
Except
through the
that
whole season.
I care about this one. I don't care about that one. So.
Yeah, if we care about them, we
Yeah.
know their name. But that's about it. I don't ever know everyone, because we don't put the same degree into it to know them. So
it doesn't give anywhere near the same degree in return.
yeah, it'd be a lot harder if we didn't basically know who they are. But you also have to kind of get used to what clothes they're wearing. That's helpful too. It's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I recognize, that's so-and-so's blouse or bra or whatever they're wearing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
they
so
hadn't
you-
gotten their swimsuits yet either.
Not yet. You got a lot of great insights in the feedback this week. Do you have a prediction for who's going next now?
Well, Jeremiah wants to make me say Wendell.
Mm-hmm. You just want to wind him up.
No, I just kind of, he made me think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there's definitely a chance they'll go again. Who's going to do a puzzle for them and get it right this time?
They could go after Chris or
Chris
or Wendell, probably.
Chris seems like a likely target
Yeah.
given everything.
I would want to take Chris, and if it was the other group, I would want to go after Sebastian.
We just saw James, Laurel, Libby, and Donathan go after the big threat Morgan, and Chris is probably the next big threat. And you could get someone like Dominic to flush his idol at the same time.
Yeah, because people are wanting to get those. Well, number one, get rid of the Sebastian is a big threat or Chris is a big threat because they are a physical threat. Both, for them leaving your tribe and going back to another tribe,
right,
in another swap, which there will be at some point, and also after the merge when they're really a threat. And sometimes harder to get rid of them. So I don't know that I disagree with getting rid of some of the strong people.
Yeah.
Early.
Sure. Yeah, it's not like they're winning the challenges for you anyway at this point, and they don't seem to have a lot to offer in terms of puzzle expertise, so it seems very likely that the new Naviti would be back at Tribal Council again.
Well, everybody's young and fit. They can do whatever they do, so, they could go look for food if they want to, or not if they don't.
Okay. There you
So
go.
I don't know that even though Sebastian in the clip brought home lobster.
A lobster.
So that might influence them slightly if it was on the day that he brought home the lobster, but not long term.
If he were bringing home 10 of them every day, that would sway your thought. He brings home one for 10 people, not so much.
Yeah.
Not coming across like a super provider there, even though I'm sure they're thankful for the little morsel they got.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure it made their rice much better.
Mm-hmm. We want to thank everybody who took time to send in your thoughts and insights and predictions this week. You guys did another fantastic job. We enjoyed that, and you gave us lots to think about. Thank you so much. We would like to give a big thanks to HS Mom Toulouse, High School Mom Toulouse. Is that what that is? Maybe?
I don't know.
For your review on iTunes. We greatly appreciate it. That's a great way to give back to the show and share a little bit, help get the word out about the podcast. Thank you so much for that. And a huge thanks to Scott from California for your donation. We appreciate your support.
And don't forget, if you're playing JSFL, our fantasy league, don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline on Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And we've got to remember to move our clocks ahead tonight.
Yep, we've still got some clocks you have to change manually. So it's that time again in the States.
Anything else you want to... Did you say who you thought was going? I can't remember.
No, I didn't. And I think Chris is a likely target for sure.
Oh, you just agreed with me.
Well, you were talking about Wendell.
So you think that tribe's going to lose?
Yeah, I think there's a great chance that they'll lose again if they stick with the physical puzzle combo and the challenge. They don't seem to have anyone to do puzzles. If they can't get past that, they're just going to continue to be crushed. She's not delivering.
I know.
Wendell's not delivering. They've both had multiple
opportunities,
passes at that, and just not delivered. So, and I think it'd be great to see Laurel play Dominic really hard to get him to flush his idol, and see Chris go. I think that would be such a huge double whammy from the once minority and early Malolo component of the new Naviti tribe.
So you're giving Laurel credit for having game, even though we've seen she has some game, but we've not seen a lot yet.
We've not seen a lot. My thought was, given what we got next time on Survivor, that would be a neat way to see her showcased, her abilities showcased. I think she's a very smart lady. She has the capacity, like we said in the Jabik show, to really pull one over on Dominic, and he's offering up that he's got an idol. And so I think that would be a nice 1-2 punch. They actually take out Chris, they get Dominic to flush his idol, and he doesn't have, what does he have left? He's got Angela and Wendell left. So,
all right, interesting to see what really happens.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, I think that's it. Let's wrap it up.
Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.